Hi, I'm Milla and welcome to another Milla's Game Room video today. This one is going to be themed on Valentine's a bit, so yeah, gonna have some recommendations for kind of like hidden gem romance VNs that are on consoles predominantly, or what I've known primarily as like console VNs. PC, none of those will be in this video because there are a lot of PC only exclusive titles or titles that started on PC and were later ported. I'm not counting those, they're going to be their own thing and probably just going to be, well, without my recording like this, just voiceovers, so that's going to come in the future. So today I'm just going to focus on console stuff, and I've tried to pick a few different games. There's not going to be as many as in like some of my previous videos on recommendations, especially the Cozy Games one, just because, well, I want to play as many VNs as I can before I make more like detailed recommendations. So let's start with this little stack here. Got a bunch of games. They are Vita and Switch versions of games, but most of them are on at least one other platform, mainly PC. So let's get ready to talk about some interesting games that I do recommend checking out for the romance theme. And starting off, we have a duology of games. They are unconnected, but it's best recommended to play both of them for the fullest of experiences, even though they are standalone. And that's the Psychedelica Otome games that are by Automate and localized by Axis Games for the PlayStation Vita. They were some of the last Otome games to get localized, and they are pretty fun. So, to start specifically on Black Butterfly, this game came out first in like 2015 in Japan, then got localized 3 years later. You basically wake up in a mysterious mansion and you have to basically find out why you're there, and other guys there as well with other like fantasy elements in that. You get obviously elements of dark fantasy, but there's also like a shooting minigame, which in terms of localized Otome games on consoles, especially by Automate, is actually quite unique because there tends not too many gameplay in their titles. So it's like a little shooting minigame, which I think really stands out. It's quite short. The runtime's like probably like 5 to 10 hours. To do the common route, a bit longer to do everything else, but there's also like some extra content as well, and I think it's really cool. It is one of the more plot-focused titles on this list, but you still get lots of stuff with these like with guys and multiple endings, and I do feel it's a title worth checking out. It did later get ported to PC via Intra Games, which is like a Korean publisher, and it goes on sale for like 75% off, it's like £7 or £8, and I recommend jumping on that and getting it on PC if you want it cheap. But there's always this Vita physical, which is out there, not as cheap as it used to be, but definitely worth playing, and one of the highlights of the Vita regional library that doesn't have a Switch version. Ashen Hawk follows a similar structure, and that is this other game here. This one is you play as a witch who basically, well, is accused of being a witch because of her like eye having a different colour, so it's basically having to basically live as a guy and you find a way to clear her name, survive in this like mostly snow-covered world in this little medieval style village, and it's really interesting, and I think it's even better than Black Butterfly, especially where the plot goes places later. It's really short, like around the length of Black Butterfly as well, and there are some references to Black Butterfly, but you don't need them to understand the story, but it does enrich the experience a lot, which is why it's recommended to play both of them. But much like Black Butterfly, it was Vita title first. It came out 1 year after Black Butterfly, but then came to the West with Axis with part of the Summer of Mystery bundle, which included Black Butterfly and Seven Scarlet, which is another game, which I'll get to another time. It also came to PC, and so much like Black Butterfly, get it on sale if you want it on there, but also this physical's out there, so have fun tracking this down. The final Vita game and the final Otome game I'll be talking about in this video is a game that I really like and means a lot to me and is really fun, and that's Bad Apple Wars. This one is basically Idea Factory's take on Angel Beats in Otome form, and you basically wake up as a woman in a really like surreal setting, dystopian setting with a red sky, in a school setting after she gets hit by a car in the real world and basically kind of dies and is in this like state between life and death, and you basically have to go through the school, and if you graduate you can go back to the real world. And I thought it was cool. I like the atmosphere, the art's interesting. I like the direction. I'm not the biggest fan of Suo's art, but I do think it's still got a nice aesthetic overall. It's also got, I think, maybe like a 20 to 30 hour runtime potentially, kind of like longer than the Psychedelica games, and still pretty fun. And the guys are cool. You can either choose to be basically a good guy inside with the two like people on the left side. So this guy, which is the mask guy, we can be a bad apple, which is like Alma on this side. So got two sides with a bit of structure, and yeah, I think it's so cool. And I definitely recommend this one. I hope one day it gets a port at least to PC because more people should play it. But on Vita, the physical is actually one of the cheaper like visual novels still around. So I do recommend, if you find this one for a good price, maybe even still online to this day, to pick it up because it is absolutely worth your time. The fourth game I'm going to talk about is technically a double pack of 2 games, and it's the only one in this video I'm going to talk about that's got a multi-language Japanese release because everything else doesn't have that, and also because a lot of the other Japanese physicals are for games that are quite well known or originate on PC. And this one did originate on PC, but I think the reason why a lot of people know this exists is because they are into Switch collecting, and Switch collecting is very big on these Japanese, Asian, English releases. And this game in question is Oshirabu Waif Over Husbandos plus Love or Die. You might remember I got this as a part of an import haul last summer. I did play through these games. They're very short, but you know, that's okay, because I think this is a great game to pick up if you're on sale, especially as physical, because eventually this will go down in price physically. They do go on sale on Steam as well. They were like the first multi-language physical release from the developer, publisher Sukera Sumero, but they're just a brand of Sukera Sparrow. So the story of this game, you basically play as a very die-hard gacha fan. Like, I know many die-hard gacha fans, and you basically play as a main character, but then meets Rei, which is this green-haired woman, and just basically it goes from there to I thought it was really cool. It's got, as I said, it's got quite a short runtime, and I think for what it's worth, it's pretty good. And the fan disc is basically after they become a couple, and it's like, oh, we're going to prepare for marriage. So here we go, romantic comedy themed around marriage, and that's a really cool little thing to do. And on Steam as well, you can get it on Steam because Sukera Sumero and their parent company, Sukera Sparrow, they've got a bunch of Yuri games, mostly on PC, which I hope more of them come to consoles. I need to still play through them, but you know, always good to have some diversity, and a physical Yuri game is always a win in my book. And the final game I'm going to talk about today is a Bishoujo game. So yeah, we've got to have Bishoujo game, and they're quite a rare breed on consoles because of the actors in the market and the prominence of adult content, especially for past titles. A lot of these publishers only localize them for PC, often years after their release, so we don't really get them on consoles, and that's also one reason why I've not got any PC games on this list today. But this particular game doesn't actually have a PC port, even after so long, and that's what makes it interesting. But this game is also a little really unique in its own right, and that's World End Syndrome. So this is, well, not just a Bishoujo game with the girls, including the 2 on the cover here, but it's also a murder mystery set in Mihate Town, where the protagonist goes there to basically start over and trying to cope with the death of his sister, which sounds kind of sad, but it's not really a Nakage. It's more like you just get to meet people, these girls, and have a calendar system and just connect with people and start developing relationships, and as you go through the playing order, you start to learn more of the overarching plot and to solve the mystery. And yeah, I had a very, very satisfying conclusion in that with regards to that overall plot, and I do recommend it. This is also available on PlayStation 4. As I mentioned, there's no PC port. This physical copy that was released in Europe was by P-Cube, and this is the only way you can get an English physical of this because Arc System Works never did a North American physical, and the Japanese one came out a long time before and didn't have English, understandably because it's a Japanese physical. But I do think this is cool. There is meant to be a sequel coming called World End Phenomenon, but we don't really know anything about it, and it's like, oh, we confirm it exists, but we haven't got anything to announce regarding it, so nothing there to discuss with that yet. But I'm looking forward to that, and this little game, I think it's great, and if you can find it either on sale digitally on Switch or PSN, pick it up. But if you can find a physical of this for a decent price, I think it's about 50 quid now, which is a lot, but still pretty cool for a visual novel with an art book, and the art book in here is pretty cool. I really like it when they do like day one editions like this, so I definitely recommend checking this out. So I'm going to end this video for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to support the channel, like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, etc. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for the support, and have a lovely day, and have a lovely Valentine's Day if you're celebrating it. If you don't, that's okay. How about play one of these games instead? Or spend time with your real life partners and friends and spread the love with real people and play fictional games in your downtime. Thank you, and bye bye.